What's going on, guys? Smooth Racing here, back with a brand new video, and today we have our F1 2014 mid-season report, and we're starting off then in this three-part series with the front runners, and then we'll be doing all the midfield guys and also the back markers, which will be Caterham, Russia and Sauber in our last part of this mini three-part series. We'll also be doing this for GP2, GP3, WRC and MotoGP over the course of the summer holidays as we look ahead to the second half of the sort of motorsport calendar. I think first is MotoGP, and then we start off with all the GP2, GP3 and F1, and I think there are some WRC this weekend, so we might have to do that WRC probably after this weekend's action. But anyway, let's get on with this F1 mid-season report then. Let's start off with the front runners, and we'll start off with the truly dominant team of Mercedes. Now Mercedes then have been absolutely dominant this season. They're leading the standings by an absolute, mega margin of their closest rivals, Red Bull, and they've done an absolutely brilliant job, scoring 393 points and taking 9 out of the 11 race wins this season. A truly, amazing form of dominance, and even more dominant than Red Bull were last season. And Mercedes will be hoping to carry that on into the second half of the season. And their two drivers have been Lewis Hamilton and Nico Rosberg, both who have done an absolutely exceptional job to lead the standings 1 and 2. And at the moment it's Rosberg who has an 11-point lead over Lewis Hamilton. Rosberg, for me, has been one of the surprise stars of the season. Many were thinking that Hamilton was going to walk away with this, especially after the run of 4 straight wins from Malaysia to Spain early on in the season. But Rosberg's really proven his doubters wrong, and totally beaten Hamilton in the points. Of course, Rosberg has had a lot better luck. He's only retired once this season while leading in Silverstone, and Lewis Hamilton, retired in Australia and also in Canada. Australia, he'd definitely won the race there. I think he loves Australia, and I think he had a sizable margin there. And also Canada, he'd have maybe got the win. It'd be very close between him and Rosberg. And we've also seen some brilliant battles between Rosberg and Hamilton, particularly in Bahrain. Hamilton sort of seemed to have that under control, I think, but Rosberg, was challenging him very nicely. And in terms of battles between them two, we were set for a great battle in Canada before, of course, Hamilton retired and Rosberg, had that problem. And also Austria was a quite good battle, although Rosberg, that race did seem to have, sort of the upper hand, although Hamilton, made that mistake in qualifying, but it's really cost him. And in terms of consistency, Rosberg's been a lot more consistent this season, but I suppose Hamilton has had the better ultimate pace, but he just hasn't been able to convert that into consistent showings. And he's got 1 win in the past 6 races, while Rosberg's taken 3 and Ricciardo's taken 2, but I'll get onto that in a minute. And the final gradings then for Mercedes. Well, Mercedes team get an A-. They would have got an A+, but I just feel the handling of the driver relations was a bit off, and some of the team personnel, they haven't really got someone like Ross Brawn. I think they're kind of lacking that. Otherwise, they've gone with a perfect A+ season for them. But certainly a great season for Mercedes, and nothing could have really gone much better for them. Sort of a perfect season really for them. In terms of the drivers, I've given Rosberg a B+. Definitely one of the surprise stars of the season. Did an absolutely amazing job to lead the standings, but it's going to be tough to hold back a fast-charging Lewis Hamilton, who's had a lot of bad luck, but also has not been consistent. He gets an A- thanks to some wonderful drives in Hungary and Germany to come from the back, and also that truly dominant spell from Malaysia to Spain. I was really impressed with, and that's what many Lewis Hamilton fans will be hoping that he can replicate in the second half of the season. Moving on to Red Bull. To go back to Mercedes to finish off, and also just qualifying battles have been Lewis Hamilton 4, Nico Rosberg 7. So Rosberg, I think, has had the upper hand in qualifying just this year. Very marginal. I suppose if you take out the 2 failures Hamilton's had it in qualifying, I suppose it's still 5-7. So I think Rosberg's had a slight upper hand, ever so slightly. I think that bad strategy call in Silverstone has cost Hamilton. He hasn't had a pole since Spain, remember, so he'll be hoping for better things. And of course the Rosberg incident in Monaco as well. So basically in qualifying it's been a dead even. And also in the race it's Hamilton 6, Rosberg 5, but once again take out the retirements and he is fairly equal. Basically the whole season has been so equal, and Hamilton's had the worst luck, but Rosberg has done an amazing job. And I always think that the person leading the standings has been the best, the most deserved person to win the championship. That's definitely how I go about it. Moving on to Red Bull, and the qualifying battle between them has been Vettel 4, Ricciardo 7. So Ricciardo's had a major up in qualifying. Ricciardo does show some really good qualifying pace, but surprisingly he actually converted that into some race pace, which we haven't really seen that much at Toro Rosso. Because in the race, Ricciardo's outperformed Vettel 9-2, and he's had a run of finishes, Ricciardo, since Malaysia, which was his last retirement, so he's been very consistent. Vettel's had retirements in Austria and Monaco, and of course Australia, which he had a failing, did not start his season off very well, and then he got a third place in Malaysia, and seemed to be on the up, but after that Ricciardo really just got the better room for the whole thing. Vettel's had 2 podiums this year, while Ricciardo's had 5, including 2 wins in Hungary and Canada. Ricciardo's been absolutely exceptional. He's been my driver of the season so far. He overtook Hulkenberg for me after Monaco, and that podium in Monaco, the win in Canada, the podium in Silverstone, and of course the win in Hungary, just consistently outperforming his teammates, earned him an A+, and definitely my driver of the season. Vettel gets a C+. He has shown signs of pace in, particularly in Malaysia, Canada, and Germany, and also I think he had a great race actually in Spain where he came from 15th to 4th. That's definitely one of the drivers of the season so far. But Vettel gets a C+, show potential and shows definitely signs of improvement in Hungary and Germany, but really he needs to up his game because at the moment the world champion is being well and truly outperformed by his younger counterparts. Moving on next to Williams, and the current situation is it's 7-4 to Bottas against Massa in both qualifying and the race. Bottas really has had the upper hand over Massa, especially in sort of the second sort of half of this first half of the season. Particularly, I think he had a great run of 3 podium finishes in Austria, Great Britain, and Germany. Had a third, a second, and a second in the opening race. I think that was a sign of being sort of this is only a second year. That touching of the wheel against the side of the Australian barrier. Without that, he'd have easily been on the podium. I think he definitely had the pace to beat Alonso and Jenson Button, and Kevin Magnussen, probably Danny Ricciardo. You never know, he could have probably been second in that race. And also Felipe Massa hasn't been the best season for him. It's usual Felipe Massa story. Gets involved in a lot of incidents, some his fault, some not his fault. Just has overall a bit of bad luck. And you do wonder, when is this guy going to get a break? And is his Formula 1 career coming to an end? Could this be, one of the last 2 years? He'll definitely be in Formula 1 next year. But, from the off, he got taken out by Kamui Kobayashi. That's pretty much the story of the season. He had 3 7 places. He had 1 in Malaysia, 1 in Bahrain, then 1 in Monaco. Then he finally got higher position in Austria. We actually got pole position, and that was definitely, I think, his finest moment of the season so far, getting pole position in Austria when his teammates struggled, made a mistake, and then obviously Lewis Hamilton made a mistake also when he managed to beat Rosberg. Definitely his high for the season, but then he dropped to 4th, and then 5th in Hungary. A really good strategy in Hungary, which is actually contrary to what Massa and Bottas have been suffering throughout the season. It's a bit of poor strategy, and just a bit safe really from Williams. I think they're just trying to get what they can get, but certainly Williams do need to target 3rd, and the ratings are Bottas A-, Massa C+, and the team is an A-. Very good and very brilliantly improved from last season, but sort of lacking, I think, sort of the team management, and also being a bit safe. I think they should have gone for some better strategies which could have got them quite a lot more points. And then finally, just before this video ends, we'll talk about Ferrari. And in the qualifying battle, it's Alonso 9, Raikkonen 2, and in the race it's Alonso 11, Raikkonen 0. So he's been totally outperformed. Raikkonen, he's had an absolute horrible season. He's showed no signs of pace, apart from in Monaco perhaps. Of course, he got no points there, but he was running quite high, I think, above Fernando Alonso. In Spain, he was close to Alonso. I think they finished 6th and 7th. That was definitely when they've been close. But apart from that, Alonso's absolutely outperformed, improving once again how good he is. Consistent run of performances. I've given him an A- because although he hasn't had the most standout performances which he has in previous years, just look at his results. I'll just read them out now. 4th, 4th, 9th, 3rd, 6th, 4th, 6th, 5th, 6th, 5th, 2nd. So just so consistent. He's moved up to 4th in the standings and got a healthy lead over Bottas, Vettel, Hulkenberg, and Raikkonen's down in 12th having a disaster. He's had 7 points finishes out of 11. He's only had 1 retirement, so Raikkonen, he hasn't been getting involved in any incidents. It's just a general lack of pace. As you know, and I've given him an F, and Alonso an A-, and then the team a C+. You know, Ferrari really just need to get there. You know, just get it sorted out. Really, Pat Fry has left today, and also, you know, them getting rid of Di Montezelio and bringing in Marco, and hopefully he'll be good for them. And I think, you know, Ferrari just need to rebuild their team and, you know, just try and target a year like Mercedes have done back in 2010. They targeted 2014 as the rule changes, and maybe Ferrari just need to say, why don't you just target 2018 and just build for that year and then build from onwards, because, you know, Ferrari have just kind of been consistently bad over the past few years. 2012 they were kind of a bit lucky, but certainly, you know, the past, I'd say since 2010 was the last year they actually had a decent car, you know, and even that wasn't the greatest. I think they need to get back to the days of 08 and, you know, 07 where they had a championship winning car. But, you know, definitely Fernando Alonso needs a championship winning car, otherwise he could be out in the exit door, moving to McLaren or possibly even Mercedes. But anyway, that's a topic for another video. And that rounds out then the first part of my F1 mid-season report. Be sure to tune back in and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss part 2. We'll be talking about the midfield, so that will consist of Force India, McLaren, Sauber and Toro Rosso. And then later on in the week we'll have our final part. We talk about Caterham, Marussia and Lotus. So sorry, yeah, we'll probably I put Lotus in the midfield and put Sauber as back markers, seeing as Sauber have not scored. But anyway, we'll move on to them in the coming week. Anyway, I've been through racing. Be sure to leave your thoughts and opinions on everything I've discussed down in the comment section below. Thank you if you got this far, and I'll see you guys in my next video, and goodbye.